Good afternoon and welcome to Off the Cuff Live with Deb. Last week we talked about a property owner here in Rancho Penasquitos, and we talked about a solar system that they had on their property. Now when we listed the property, the seller said they owned the solar. Having paid $40,000 up front and no payments for the last 11 years, they were really under the assumption that they owned the solar. And I asked your opinion on what you would recommend to that seller when it came time to sell. They had an option to pay off the solar, which would have cost him an additional $7,850, or give the buyer the $7,850 and keep the service agreement for the next 13 years. Well, we did in fact make the offer to the buyer to keep the $7,850 and keep the service agreement. But that buyer got really anxious, was represented by another agent, and decided 2 days before the close of escrow that they wanted to cancel escrow. Wow, we had sellers moving, they were buying another property and those sellers already moved. And so once again, the importance of hiring an experienced listing agent made all the difference in this case. And I'll tell you why. Because prior to that, I told the seller, we have a contractual agreement that we are to give owned solar to the seller. So unless you want to have a problem with your disclosure laws or a lawsuit after the close of escrow, we need to pay off that solar and give them the owned solar. Now, if they want to do something different with the service agreement with the solar company, then they have the option to do that. But we risk that seller coming back after us or canceling escrow if we do not pay off that solar. Thankfully, 3 days before we got our cancellation, the seller took my advice, paid off the solar, and when it came time to receive that cancellation instructions, I sent an email back to the broker stating that the buyer does not have any basis to cancel this escrow based on the fact that the solar was leased prior to the close of escrow. The seller did in fact pay for the solar, which was in fact agreed to by contract, and so there was no other basis for the cancellation of escrow. And if he wanted to cancel escrow at this point, since he had already removed all of his contingencies, then he would be liable for up to 3 times the amount of the purchase price. In this case was $1.2 million. So that's $36,000 and or the deposit of up to $26,000, which we had in escrow. The broker did in fact agree with me in this case because we did actually pay off the solar as agreed and as what was stated in our disclosures and when we advertised the property. One of the things you might know about solar, and it's a big issue right now, is that you would have a lien on your title. And in this case, when I received the title policy, notice that there was in fact a lien for the solar, had the seller contact the solar company and ask, do I own it or do I lease it? Had they transferred escrow, they would have transferred escrow with that lien in place, which would have been a cloud on title. Hence why we have title insurance, so that they catch those things, and so we don't transfer title with any clouds on title, and that could be tax liens, solar liens, credit card liens, what have you. A lot of people don't understand the value of clear title. So in this case, we were able to have the solar paid off prior to the close of escrow, the solar lien lifted from the title insurance. The buyer did in fact change their mind, decided that they would go through the escrow rather than to go to mediation, which is exactly what we threatened to do, and we successfully closed escrow last week, thanks to the experience of our team here at Staged Homes Real Estate. So if you're looking for an experienced listing agent that offers free professional home staging, please give us a call or check out our website at www.stagedhomesrealestate.com. Thank you so much for joining us here, Off the Cuff with Deb.